Now, on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app, O'Connor and Company.
It's 8:07 now. It's O'Connor and Company this Monday morning, 4th day of August. Thanks for tuning in to our little morning news program to get you up to speed and hopefully put a smile on your face as you start your day here in the nation's capital. It's Larry O'Connor alongside Julie Gunlock. A good one to you, Jules.
Good morning.
Joining us right now is General Jack Keane, four-star retired general, chairman of the Institute for the Study of War and Fox News senior strategic analyst. General, good morning. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, good morning. Delighted to be here with you.
President Trump announced over the weekend that he has ordered the repositioning of two of the American, as he put it, nuclear submarines. I'm pretty sure, correct me if I'm wrong, all of our submarines are nuclear submarines, correct? Just want to make sure.
Yeah, they're all nuclear powered, and one set of submarines carries submarine-launched ballistic missiles, which are obviously nuclear missiles. And we have 14 of those.
He's positioned two of them in response to statements made by former President Medvedev of Russia. Can you shed light on this about what was said and what has prompted this announcement of sort of a repositioning of nuclear weapons?
Well, Medvedev is, who was a stand-in president for President Putin from 2008 to 2012, and he's a deputy chair of the Security Council, and he's sort of a quasi-spokesman for Putin. And since the war began, as we have noted on the show, Putin and Medvedev have brandished the use of nuclear weapons to undermine President Biden's support for the war, and as well as the European support for the war. And in doing so, they succeeded, because the Biden administration kowtowed to that threat and incrementally provided weapons and held weapons back because of that threat. It did succeed in restricting their support for Ukraine, and we spoke out about that. It was the Europeans who finally said, look, this is a bluff. We got to stop taking a knee to the Russians over this. And they forced the United States to provide tanks. They forced the Europeans now, because they were going to do the same themselves. And they forced the United States to provide long-range missiles like HIMARS and ATACMS. And also, the F-16s were forced by the Europeans because they saw through the threat. And here's Medvedev again, brandishing the possibility of a nuclear war to undermine the Trump administration, obviously for reasons that is very clear, because President Trump has doubled down on supporting Ukraine with weapons and also threatening the use of sanctions. Trump's message here is very clear. He's saying, I'm not President Biden. I'm not going to kowtow to that. You're not going to change my behavior. I am not going to give in to psychological warfare, which is an important part of the instrument of war that Putin is using and has always used, by the way, Larry and Julie. So that's what this is. It's about the president messaging to Putin that he is not going to be intimidated or coerced by the threat of nuclear weapons.
And what has the Russian response been here? By the way, this is at the same time that Mr. Witkoff is heading to Russia for what they're calling last chance ceasefire talks, because Trump has tightened the negotiating window here for Russia to actually show some kind of interest in having a peace. What was the Russian response to the announcement of these nuclear submarines being repositioned? And also, what's the end game here? How does this end?
Well, the Russian response is more aggressive rhetoric. And Witkoff is moving. I think the intent of Witkoff going to Moscow is to carry the president's message that he's dead serious here. There is an ultimatum. It's Friday, and he's going to unleash tariffs and sanctions, the scale of which we don't know. We do know what the legislation looks like, that Senators Graham and Blumenthal and 80-plus others are ready to sign up to, which is essentially sanctions on countries that are buying Russian oil and some other things. This is China, India, Brazil, Venezuela, etc., that'll be tied into this thing. But yes, I think Witkoff's visit is principally that, to carry the message that President Trump is serious about these sanctions coming, but he's also serious about his willing to negotiate a deal. And I don't think the president has yet to give up on that.
General, just really quick on Witkoff. Am I wrong? I feel like the last time Witkoff was supposed to meet with Putin, didn't Putin leave Witkoff waiting for something like 8 hours for that meeting?
I don't know about the length of the delay, but that has always been a Putin tactic. He's kept presidents waiting, as you know, in the past. It's just part of this pettiness, I think, that Putin holds in terms of the arrogance around him and his inflated ego that he has. So, yeah, that's just part of Putin. And certainly Witkoff, didn't leave. He wouldn't insult the president of a foreign power like that and just sucked it up, so to speak.
Yeah.
We're coming up on fall and winter time in this region, and that's usually means that hostilities cease because it's just very difficult to wage war. Correct me if I'm wrong, if that's the case. That's my understanding of the last couple of years. So, I mean, there is kind of a clock ticking in terms of trying to lock down territorial sort of expectations from both sides. And if Russia wants to maintain some level of what they've gained in this, I don't know. I'm still thinking strategically about this, or is that the wrong thing to do? Is Russia just looking to take over all of Ukraine or nothing?
Yeah, Russia has not given up the reality of taking control of Ukraine. And obviously, I mean, they hold somewhere between 20 and 22% of it after 41 months of war. Obviously, they clearly wanted to take this whole country over and not have to spend this much time and this much resources doing that. But Putin believes that he can get major concessions out of Zelensky that would make Ukraine very vulnerable going forward. I mean, what's on the table is pretty tough concessions. I mean, he wants Zelensky to be removed. He wants the Ukrainian military to be demilitarized. He wants a commitment from them not to join NATO whatsoever, and he wants them to move Ukrainian military out of the 4 oblasts where the conflict is being undertaken right now. Russia only occupies the majority of one of those oblasts, so he would want Ukraine to give up more territory voluntarily. And none of that is likely to happen. And, what has happened, Julie and Larry, he has focused on the civilian population. And we've seen that by the continuous aerial bombardment that's taken place with drones and ballistic missiles. And he's killed somewhere in the neighborhood in excess of 13,000 civilians. But as opposed to them breaking their will and their support for the government, they've become more steadfast in doing that and rallied around the government, which is pretty significant given what's taken place. It reminds me of the Brits during the aerial bombardment campaign that Germany inflicted on them, and that their population rallied around their government and would not submit. So this war, if we don't get a negotiated settlement of it in the near term, it's going to continue along the lines we're all viewing right now.
Which, of course, President Trump is going to be very frustrated about, because this was one of the key things that he campaigned on, that he could get in here and sort of force a deal in this. And he's clearly incredibly frustrated it appears as though he's putting all the focus on Russia's inability or reluctance to reach any kind of agreement with him. So it's been quite a 7-month journey here as President Trump continues to play this out, and we'll watch every step. All right. Thank you, General Keane. Appreciate you joining us.
Yeah, great talking to the both of you. Thank you.
Would you agree with me, General, that the best Marines are submarines?
WMAL, making sense of the news. Live from the Home Paramount Pest Control Studios. Home Paramount, the leader in pest control since 1939.
The best Marine is a submarine. You see what I did there? It's a submarine pun. I didn't say it was a great joke. It is weird to see, we've moved our nuclear submarines over. It's like all of our submarines. We don't have a non-nuclear submarine. But I think he means the ones that carry nuclear weapons.
Yeah.
Although I think all of them carry some type of nuclear. All right. Anyway, Kamala Harris can't talk. Oh, I'm sorry. I misread the headline. Kamala Harris can't talk about Biden's decline. There we go. That's what it is. Yeah, this was revealed Friday on the morning meeting. Our buddy Sean Spicer, is he still a friend of the show? Just checking. It changes on a regular basis. Sometimes he's our enemy. He's a frenemy. Sean Spicer does the morning meeting, a streaming show with Mark Halperin and Dan Turrentine. And Mark Halperin revealed something at the end of their conversation about Kamala Harris's book and her decision not to run for governor, et cetera, et cetera. He said, and I'm quoting him now, the people in camp Biden, I'm not quoting him, I'm paraphrasing him. People in the Biden camp, apparently, during the 4 years of the Biden administration, tried like crazy to make Kamala Harris competent, to help her. You think about it.
They rented children.
They had to rent children to make her look likable. They literally did. To talk about space. They had to rent children actors to pretend like they were excited about space.
Yes, they had to rent them.
Instinctively, children get excited about space, but they couldn't under Kamala Harris. They had to get actors. Joe Biden was a vice president for 8 years. You become his running mate. You're the vice president. You would think that you would listen to Team Biden about how to effectively be a really good vice president. She literally had no jobs for 4 years before she became the nominee.
And she couldn't even defend the pretend jobs they gave her, like the southern border. She was like, well, I haven't been to Europe. What?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So apparently she was so bad. And they have so much dirt on her about how inept and how horrible that she was, that's part of this sort of Faustian bargain that has been made. It's why Kamala Harris, to this day, cannot say anything critical of Joe Biden or Joe Biden's presidency. According to Mark Halperin's reporting, the second she does, the second there is even the teeniest bit of sunlight between herself and Joe Biden, whether it has to do with his cognitive abilities, his memory, his age, his health, or just, his horrible policies and how it ruined the economy and inflation and all that stuff. All the stuff that she said on The View, she wouldn't change a thing. Can't think of anything that we would change. The second she allows any daylight between herself and Joe Biden, the Biden people are going to dump this dirt on her like a ton of bricks. And it's an amazing thing to watch.
It is. She went recently, last week, I think it was, she went on Colbert, and, he asked her, like, are you going to go back? You're not going to, she said, I'm not going to run for governor or whatever. And he said, are you going to go back into service, public service? And she made this sort of very vague, she gave this very vague answer. I don't want to go back in the system. It's broken. Right?
Yes.
But really didn't talk specifics. And I think that's what we're going to see out of her, basically for the rest of her life. It's this agreement they have. I won't get specific. Yeah. You don't get specific.
But think about it. I don't think I'm going to run for governor because, I don't want to get back into the system because there's something wrong with the system.
Who runs California?
She's a creature of the system.
Right.
She's been a DA for San Francisco, an attorney general for California, a senator from California, and then a vice president.
If only, Larry. If only she had at some point had a powerful position with the federal government, within the state government, that she could have changed things. Right? I love how this woman literally contributed to the brokenness of the system and then says, I don't want to get back in because it's broken.
No, see, they love the system as long as they win. But the second their opponent wins,
it's broken.
The problem is the system. The system is broken. Well, chief pollster for CNN, Harry Enton, the guy that sounds like James Cagney. Hey, we got you. The popularity numbers are down. See? You hear me? See? Republicans are doing better, see? Harry Enton has a little insight into how the system is broken for Kamala Harris.
Can't possibly believe that someone who was attorney general for a good period of time, a United States senator for a good period of time, and then vice president for 4 years, and then ran for president, all of a sudden believes that the best way to solve it is from being outside the system? Oh, please. Not a chance on God's green earth that that's necessarily the case. What's probably going on is she saw what the polling numbers were, perhaps, for her running for governor of California. Yes, she has left open the idea that maybe she could run in 2028 for the Democratic nomination. But I'll tell you, Abby, I've looked at those numbers. She would be the weakest front runner since 1992. So the bottom line is this. She's looking at the numbers. She knows what's cooking. And then all of a sudden, you know what? Actually, this lifelong politician, I want to be outside the system. Give me a break.
Give me a break, indeed. In fact, I know he's got quite the delivery. Of the candidates right now that are being considered for the 28 nomination, the woman who was just the nominee, the one that the media and the Democrats told us is a transcendent political figure that we should just feel fortunate that she walks among us at this time, in this moment, she is currently running sixth. She is currently running sixth among Democrats, number 6 among Democrats right now for the nomination.
Oh, they're doing great. They're so lost.
It is 8:23.
Well, it's time for Larry's favorite segment. We're going to talk about Sydney Sweeney and the controversy she stirred up. Also, all the men in America who are in love with her. And American Eagle's response. Keep it here. It's 8:30.
WMAL-FM, Woodbridge, Washington. A Cumulus media station. Making sense of the news. News Talk 105.9. News now. Now, on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. O'Connor and Company.
It's 8:37. We're about to hand it off to Chris Plant in about 30 minutes, but we have a little bit more to take care of here. I mean myself and the amazing Julie Gunlock. Good morning, Julie.
Good morning.
You know, J.D. Vance, the Vice President of the United States, who I admit I'm impressed with. Every time he talks, ever since the vice presidential debate against Tim Walz, he's just, it's like I'm suddenly proud to have this guy as, it's very rare that you're this proud of a guy who can properly, articulately, seriously talk about our principles, our values.
There's a word for it.
Yeah.
It's almost presidential.
You could say that. You could say that. That's a little premature. But you're right. At the moment, it's vice presidential, let's just say.
Yes.
He appeared on the Ruthless podcast, and at the very beginning, if you know Ruthless, you know that Comfortably Smug sort of takes on oftentimes my persona of just being a moron and an idiot and trying to get people into bad situations and talk about things that are awkward and inappropriate. That's me. And so the very first question, of course, had to do with Sydney Sweeney. Totally understandable. That's probably the first question I would ask J.D. Vance.
Why not? Hey, it's a hot topic.
He handled it well, and by the way, turned it into a bit of a
criticism.
Well, I was going to say a teachable moment
for Democrats.
For Democrats.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a nice way of putting it.
Democrats are spending $20 million to figure out how to talk to men.
That's brilliant. Yeah.
Here's J.D. Vance's advice, free advice for Democrats.
Yeah, my political advice to the Democrats is continue to tell everybody who thinks Sydney Sweeney is attractive is a Nazi. that appears to be their actual strategy. I mean, it actually reveals something pretty interesting about the Dems, though, which is that you have like a normal all-American beautiful girl doing like a normal jeans ad, right? They're trying to sell jeans to kids in America, and they have managed to so unhinge themselves over this thing. And it's like, you guys, did you learn nothing from the November 2024 election? Like, I actually thought that one of the lessons they might take is we're going to be less crazy. The lesson they have apparently taken is we're going to attack people as Nazis for thinking Sydney Sweeney is beautiful. Great strategy, guys. That's how you're going to win the midterm, especially young American men.
Their course correction lasted about 30 seconds.
That's right. Lasted 30 seconds. Somehow has gotten even crazier. But again, it's just so much of the Democrats is oriented around hostility to basic American life.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's I thought their strategy was to be, we're going to be less crazy, but instead, nope.
Yeah.
If you like Sydney Sweeney, you're a Nazi.
You know, a couple of years ago when my kids were being asked what their pronouns were, and they used to say, or what do you want to be identified as? And my son said he's going to identify as a carrot and see what the teacher did. We thought that was crazy. And yet they've gone even crazier. So, yeah.
American Eagle, for their part, though, this is a lesson in how a corporation should deal with this kind of thing. You know, you go back 3 or 4 years ago, and a corporation would say, issue apologies, and they'd be hand-wringing, and they'd be like, "Oh, please, what boxes can we check? What who do we need to hire to fix this?
What contributions can we give to leftist organizations?
To the Human Rights Campaign?" Yeah.
Yep.
Here's their answer to the controversy over there. It's not even a controversy; it's a trumped-up controversy. Sydney Sweeney has great genes is and always was about the genes, her story. Well, I like the emphasis on the pronoun, by the way. Thank you very much. Mm-hmm. We'll continue to celebrate how everyone wears their American Eagle jeans with confidence their way. Great jeans look good on everyone. That was it. That was the entirety of their statement. In other words, screw you, go pound sand. And their sales and stock seem to be up quite a bit.
And Larry, I feel like I'm a little bit triggered from what we've been. I mean, it's great on Twitter because occasionally someone will put up a tweet that will say, "Don't forget how crazy things got between 20 and 22," and it'll be some like insane thing. But I can tell that probably for the rest of my life, I'm going to expect some sort of like you just mentioned, like some backtracking, Sydney Sweeney coming out at a podium saying she's sorry, she offended, always offended people. So, great to see that we haven't seen that.
You're right.
That's hopeful.
She actually has been rather silent about all of this, but I can tell you this. News was revealed over the weekend that recently Sydney Sweeney, who is now a Florida resident, registered as a Republican in that state, and a gun manufacturer, it was either a gun manufacturer or a shooting range, released a video of her.
Oh, yeah, I saw it.
And she looked amazing. She looked like she was training for some sort of spy thriller. She's going to be in the next Jack Carr movie on Amazon. She knows how to handle a gun, and she was shooting the targets in rapid fire like she was training for special ops. So, are things about to? Is she doubling down?
Could we love Sydney Sweeney anymore? I mean,
you've got 3 sons. Would you mind if they married an older woman?
This is the daughter-in-law of my dreams. Are you kidding?
I
don't want to be in any family photos with her, but I mean,
I will.
No,
I'll stand in for you. Donald Trump, of course, was asked about Sydney Sweeney because everybody's being asked about Sydney Sweeney,
so
and
funny.
here's his response.
Sydney Sweeney, it came out this weekend that she was a registered Republican. Any thoughts on that?
That who was?
Sydney Sweeney, she's like a very hot actress right now.
She's a registered Republican?
Yes.
Oh, now I love her ad. Is that right? Is Sydney Sweeney? You'd be surprised at how many people are Republicans. That's what I wouldn't have known, but I'm glad you told me that. If Sydney Sweeney is a registered Republican, I think her ad is fantastic. Okay, thank you very much, everybody.
Right, I just want to be clear. Air Force One is in the background, jet engine. He said her ad is fantastic. Ad with a D at the end.
I did not even hear that. You are so ridiculous.
Her ad. That's President Trump admiring Sydney Sweeney's ad.
There, you got it.
And she does have a great ad. 844. Julie, absolute Looney Tunes story, as usual, out of Northern Virginia. This is at the Woodley Pool, located in Fairfax County, reporting at Daily Wire from Amanda Prestigiacomo. A father of 6, Enrique Fernandez, who had been part of the swim team there at the Woodley Pool in terms of he was a swim marshal for an under 10 meet, and his children are part of the swim team there at the Woodley Pool as well. Apparently, they had allowed a boy identifying as a girl to swim in the girls' race, and he was a swim marshal. He saw the results coming in. He thought that there was a rule violation, or at the very least it was unfair, and so on the scoreboard next to the rankings of the swimmers, he just wrote the word boy next to the boy who swam against the girls. And he has now been suspended and removed
love this guy.
From the swim club.
Predictable sort of after action from Fairfax County officials. No surprise there. But boy, do I love this dad, because we have been begging. There are a lot of women, female athletes and women and moms who have been sort of taking up this mantle and saying, we want our spaces back. We want our sports back. We want our prisons back, right? We don't want to be called chest feeders,
Right.
and we have said, join us. Where are the dads? Where are the dads? Right? And boy, this is exactly the kind of dad we've been begging for. Good for him.
Yeah, he is. We'll see where this stays. He should sue the pool, I think. Absolutely. We'll see what he ends up doing. Immediately after the race, by the way, Fernandez said he was approached by the pool representative and told that the other pool would like you to leave the deck. In other words, the competing team would like him to be removed. And I think he said okay and then left. Went to the pavilion area where they were serving concessions, and the next thing he knows, he gets a letter from the Woodley Pool saying you are suspended for the rest of the year. He's a hero. We got to celebrate these dads. It's 8:52.